So today
we're reviewing
the park
Magic Kingdom.
So we are going to be going, this is our third park review technically, since we reviewed Islands of Adventure and Universal.
just a second.
But, yeah, second, I guess, because we reviewed Universal. But we are joined today with Megan and our grandma Sharon.
You've seen her in three previous videos.
We break down these park reviews into different sections. We started out with food before, then went to service, then went to maintenance, but I think we're going to start out with probably just the rides. Or why don't we give our overall thoughts of the park first? What are your overall thoughts of the park?
Well, this is definitely probably one of my favorite parks growing up. Originally, this was my favorite park in Disney World, and as I've gotten a little bit older, it's still probably my second favorite park out of all the four main parks at Walt Disney World, with Animal Kingdom taking the lead by just a little bit. But this is definitely a great park. A lot of great sections, some phenomenal rides, and every time you go there, it's almost impossible to do every single ride. So there's a lot of stuff to do, and you'll hear our thoughts on the rides individually here in a few minutes.
Magic Kingdom is definitely the main park at Disney. If you were only able to go to it was a little easier a couple years ago to make this decision, but if you can only go to one park, if you go to Disney, you most likely pick Magic Kingdom. It's definitely a great park, lots of rides. It is very hard to do all of them in one day. There is a big variety of different rides that everyone can do, which is kind of mainly all of Walt Disney. It's definitely a great park. I wouldn't say it's my favorite park at Disney World, but it's definitely up there for one of the best.
I think, like Kenny said, it's a good starter park if you've never been to any of the parks before Disney World itself. So I think Magic Kingdom's a good place to start and, just work your way from there. I like Magic Kingdom. It's definitely up in there's only four, but it's probably my second favorite. But Animal Kingdom is definitely taking the lead.
Okay, Magic Kingdom may be my favorite. I like Epcot, walking around because I'm older. But Magic Kingdom's the original park that was down there, the first one. And it's classic. It's got all the classic Disney stuff, so that's the one you'd want to go to if you could only pick one.
And so now, why don't we get to the rides? You want to go down
the park is broken into about 4 or 5 sections. We're going to start out with the Adventureland, kicking off the rides review of this park. Magic Kingdom is the first one listed is the Enchanted Tiki Room in Adventureland. Let's go down the line. So starting with Grandma Sharon, what's your favorite? Or what's your thoughts on this ride?
Not much. I'd skip it.
Oh,
I think it's an interesting experience, but yeah, I would definitely not go out of my way to do this.
Yeah, it's something you'd want to try to do if you're only going there once, but it's not forgettable, but we have forgot to do it the last 10 trips. I guess it is forgettable. So we usually don't do it.
Yeah, I would definitely repeat those comments. This is definitely, it's not really a ride, it's more of a show. It is an attraction, but yeah, it's definitely not something that I would wait more than maybe like 3 or 5 minutes to do.
If you want to see flowers and birds sing,
I would say
what it is.
Exactly. I would say that if you want to see that, or if it's like raining and you want to be inside. I don't know if is there air conditioning?
Oh yeah,
well,
there is.
probably.
If it's hot and you want to go in there, that's probably a smart thing to do. Take a little break.
It's true.
Next up is Jungle Cruise. I guess I'll start out here. My thoughts on that one are. I feel like I've always enjoyed that one, more so as I'm getting older, with like just seeing the animatronics of the animals, especially like the hippos and the crocodiles. Definitely in the cave section with the tiger. The comments and jokes, after you ride it 4 or 5 times, you hear a lot of things over and over again. But it's kind of just like a traditional thing that you try to do once.
Yeah, I like this ride. It does get really old with the same jokes and stuff like that, but it's a classic. I love that cave scene, and yeah, it's definitely one that I like to do every time we go there because it's great with all the animatronics. It's definitely great, and I always try to do it every trip we go.
It's definitely a Disney must-do, but it's definitely, after you've done it a couple of times, the jokes are definitely stale, and they need to work
Jungle
out.
Cruise is different.
If you want to see the backside of water, you need to ride it.
That is a good point.
Next up is the Magic Carpets of Aladdin.
Let's just skip that one.
Here, how about this? I'll lump them all
Okay.
together. So there's Dumbo, the Flying Elephant. Yeah, Dumbo, the Flying Elephant, and the Magic Carpets of Aladdin. It's like the same ride, except one
Go
you're
in a
riding an
circle.
elephant and one you're riding on a carpet.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good one to do with your kids, and like if you want to. It's also if you just haven't done it before, just do it one time. And
But look
get it done, but-
outside it when you're walking by.
Good point. A
It's-
camel shoots water.
Yeah.
So next up is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Ooh.
This is definitely one of my favorites at Magic Kingdom. It's one that we always do each trip, probably multiple times. The amount of like detail that is put into the ride is amazing to look at. There's a hill on it, but it's not really, you don't really do it for the hill, it's just part of the ride. It's not too much of a hill. It's definitely a really good one, and I would definitely say it's one of my favorites at this park.
Yeah, there's a few different rides at Disney that really, truly capture the Disney experience. And this is definitely one that the second you walk in the line, it just encapsulates you into the Disney world. It's definitely a must-do. But it's definitely a great ride, and I love this ride so much. Just hearing the music, it's one of the best rides that gets you into the Disney mood and Disney. That probably doesn't make any sense, but yeah.
I definitely think that they did a good job. I mean, Disney's really good with themes and lines, but it definitely makes you feel like you're being captured or you're just walking to the dungeons of becoming a pirate. And you have to do it when you go. It's a must-do.
It's a good one.
So it's oh yeah, you were blinded, right? The flash.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the picture?
We'll show a picture right now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't get that. I don't remember that happening before.
No, yeah,
Well,
the
the picture-
picture.
You might have
Yeah.
wiped your memory.
Yeah, there's a picture at the beginning, right before the hill.
Before the
And
hill.
I saw two red eyes for like an hour.
Yeah.
It blinded me.
Because you're in a dark ride.
What-
What are you going to do if it's too light?
After that wraps up Adventureland, now we're moving on to Fantasyland. But the first ride that's on this list here in Fantasyland is the Barnstormer.
Don't wait in line for that.
If
If you're a little kid and you
Good
want to
experience.
ride
Yes.
a roller coaster,
Good
it's a
experience.
little kid's
Good.
roller
That's a good point.
It's definitely a kid-friendly ride.
Yeah, if you're familiar with Universal, more so, it's the Hippogriff.
The basket ride.
Hang on.
And then next up is It's a Small World. This is one that is probably the most classic ride at Magic Kingdom. We usually, I would say that this past trip in 2020 was the first trip, at least in my life, that we did not do that one. We usually always do it. We just never got around to it this trip. But I would still say it's one of my favorite classic rides at Magic Kingdom. Just to do it, all the animatronics is pretty cool seeing all that stuff, and
It's a new song every
it's
time.
probably I
A
mean.
new song.
No,
That's
I'm
what it
kidding.
is.
Yeah, it's a small world. It's definitely it's one of the oldest rides at Disney World. It's a classic, obviously. It's a ride you have to do at least 1 out of 2 times you go to Disney because it's just such a staple. Yeah, it's obviously it's the same song every time.
Check
It gets
that.
your. It's one of the oldest. I said one of the oldest. I know that for a fact. It's one of the oldest.
All
Okay,
right.
let's
But
go.
yeah, and
Moving on.
the staple
And I
of
have the floor.
it's one of the staples at Disney, and
Okay.
you definitely we usually always do it. We didn't do it this trip, so.
You're up.
Right. Okay.
It's an okay ride. It's not my favorite. Grandma?
You may have someone next to you saying, "How long is this song?" That's all I can say.
And it's pretty long.
It never ends.
Next up is Mad Tea Party. This one I've only done a few times, and it's definitely another classic, and it's fun to do just to spin around, have a
Wait,
good time.
Mad Tea Party? Are we talking about the same ride?
Yep.
Yeah, it just gets you dizzy.
Okay,
that's
so
all.
yeah, the difference about this one is you spin in circles, and then you can also spin in another circle, so it's like a quadruple circle.
Not my favorite. Moving on.
You're on.
I said,
Oh, okay,
just
okay.
gets you dizzy.
Next up
moving on.
is
She's fine.
Mickey's Philhar Magic. This one, this one, Grandma Sharon did, and none of I don't think
No one else did it. I
so
went in and did
let's
it
start
all
with her on
alone.
this one.
She needs to
Grandma,
talk
you
this.
start-
It's a 3D movie, which I really like. And it's got lots of good songs, and I like it.
It's definitely a really good one.
Especially if it's raining or...
Yeah, it's not
Oh,
a
Good point.
I remember doing this ride a couple of times, but I haven't done it in a while. But it's definitely a very cool experience. I like the 3D and movie stuff. So
Yeah, this is a good one. I think
Yeah.
this is a good one. It's just nice and fun. I don't really remember a lot about it. because we didn't do it this time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would know it was fun. No, it's an entertaining ride. It's a classic one. You know, obviously it's Mickey and the hat. It's all right, but we missed it this year, so clearly I didn't want to do it that bad.
The next one I think we should start with Grandma Sharon again, just because of her theme, is The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Yep. It's cool.
I like that one. I didn't get to do it this time, but I like that one. It goes through the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, like the movie, and from each room is another section of that with a different song. I like it.
Definitely think, well, Winnie the Pooh is like one of my favorite Disney characters, so I'm kind of being biased. But it's still, as an adult, a fun ride to do. We didn't do it this trip, but he's a friendly little bat.
Yeah, this is a ride that we did not do this trip, but it's not because we didn't want to, because we tried to and it was closed. But we wanted to do it. It is a fun little ride to do. It's not very action-packed, but it's a cool little ride that has great theming and, yeah, Winnie the Pooh. It's definitely a good one.
It's another classic. It's a great little ride to do. It's not very fast, but it's just a kind of a good, another good ride. If it's hot outside, if it's not a long line, it's a nice little drive-through type thing. It's kind of the story of the movie. Pretty cool scenes set up inside of it. Like Kenny just said, we didn't get a chance to do it this trip, but it's one that we usually always do, and it's actually one of the rides that got the biggest scream out of us out of all the rides
It is
ever in
scary.
the history of our trips there.
Well, we'll insert the clip right here.
Here's a clip of that.
It was very scary. All right, next.
And then moving on is Peter Pan's Flight. It's another one that for some reason it always has a long line. It almost always does.
Always.
So we probably haven't done it as many times because of that. And I don't think we've ever done a fast pass for it, at least not since they changed it to the bands, the magic bands. But
Yeah.
it's another kind of pretty good one. You're kind of flying around, not very long, but I definitely enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah, I really don't remember a lot about this ride because we rarely ever do it because, like you said, it's always such a long line. But from what I remembered, it was fun. How you were flying over the city and stuff. I remember it being fun, but yeah, the line's always so long we barely ever get to do it.
Yeah, I definitely think this ride is a fun one, and it's more of for like the movie and the story. But it's, I mean, I wouldn't go on my way to do it, but if you're taking your kid there, it's definitely a must do for that.
It's okay. I don't think it's the greatest ride. I don't know if I'd wait very long for
Would
it.
you wait more than 30 minutes for it?
No,
Well, yeah.
10 minutes?
maybe.
Next up is a new ride that Grandma Sharon just did for the first time in this trip of 2020, which is called Seven Doors Mine Train. And here's a picture of that right here. Grandma and I were in the front seat. I guess we can start with you down there.
It was fun. It was a fun little coaster.
Like the comment you made was you really like the jewels.
I like
inside
the
cave.
jewels inside, yes.
I definitely think this is a very cool ride. I like how the carts sway and all the scenes, the songs, and it's pretty smooth. So
Yeah, I have to say, I liked this ride. I rode it a few years ago, I guess whenever it came out. I definitely like the stuff in the inside. It's great. My only problem with this ride is that it's too short, in my opinion, which they don't have much room to work with because since it's in the middle of the park. I wish it was a little longer, but I do like how it's smooth and the inside parts are great, but I wish it was a little longer.
Yeah, I agree with everything that was just said. There was some really cool effects, not only just on the ride, but in the line. There's some really cool stuff with jewels. We didn't really get to see that as much because we went through the Fast Pass line.
Yeah.
But in Standby, there's some really
We
cool things
have
you can play
seen-
with. Something that we didn't mention was you see shadows of the little trolls, or not trolls, dwarves, walking,
Don't call them
walking.
that.
Seven trolls.
Yeah, they're doors, but you see them walking with their like, what are they called? The little like pickaxes, and the kind of cool effect there. And then one thing my grandma and I were talking about when we did it was it is a smooth one, but I've never been in the front seat, and it was a little bit. It wasn't jerky, but we were kind of leaning.
I don't think the front seat's as much fun in this. It
No, I
is in a
agree.
lot of coasters, but you get pushed up the hill instead of going down the hill fast, and then you kind of go down the hill slowly,
Yeah.
and they aren't big hills, so it's not very thrilling.
And then the next one, the last one, wrapping up Fantasyland, is Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid. This is another one that it's actually kind of a new one. I've only done it a couple of times, and I think I've enjoyed this one. It's pretty cool effects, a lot of animatronics moving around in the ride. It's another great one if you like the movie. It's kind of like just a retelling of the movie in a ride form, and it's definitely another. It was a cool addition to Fantasyland as a ride. I definitely like it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I definitely really like this ride. This is a ride that the line is great, and you're going through different like rock structures. You get to see different stuff and really cool designs. Then the ride's great. There's a bunch to look at, very similar to Splash Mountain with how much stuff there is to look at. Definitely a great ride for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think this is all the songs are there, the animatronics are really good, and I think it's
Guilty.
definitely a must-do, because just, if you haven't seen Little Mermaid, why? And if you have, you gotta do it.
Why not?
I've only done it once, and it was several years ago, and so I don't remember it very well, but it was all right. When it first came out, I did it,
You're right.
and I wasn't impressed. But
Moving on to Frontierland. Let's start with Grandma's favorite here, the Country Bear Jamboree.
oh my gosh.
Listen here.
Attraction.
Big
You
attraction.
sit in there and you watch the bears sing, and that's about all I can
And
tell
there's
you.
blood on the floor.
First ride at Frontierland is Big Thunder Mountain. Thunder Mountain is the first of the 3 mountain rides, and we absolutely love this ride. I can probably speak for all of us on that one.
I'll speak for yourself.
It's a classic. I really like it a lot.
I'll speak first.
Really cool decorations. It's definitely a decent. It's not a quick one. I think it's pretty long. It's a pretty cool one. There's goats on a mountain, and
I don't remember the goats.
it's
Many
it's
times
right at
as
the.
I've done it, I don't remember the goats.
I think there's like a mountain goat.
There's always something new to see on a Disney ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. This ride, see, I like it. It's a classic. I've always done it. It'd be at the bottom of the mountains, though, if I was grading them. I think it's great. The detail is great. All the things you can see, like you said, the goats and all the boneyard stuff. You go through the geysers. That's great. There's multiple hills. It is a lengthy ride for sure, which is great. And it's good. It can get a little rough, just like here with Jill. She didn't know we were going to go on a steep thing.
But it does
And
tell
it is
you
a little
it's the
rough.
wildest ride.
And it does say it's the wildest ride. It is a little rough.
The wilderness.
Yeah, in the wilderness, and yeah, it can be a little rough, but it's all right. And I still like it. It's just the bottom of the mountains if I was ranking them.
I definitely like this ride. It's probably one that I will have to do every single time I go there, just because it's such an iconic ride that I've done so many times through the years, so I might be a little bit biased. But I still think that anybody that's going needs to do that one.
Well, I hope you don't get the front seat, because that's the engine, and you can't see anything.
True.
That's a good point.
The next ride was unfortunately closed this past trip of 2020, but is probably, I'll say for myself, my favorite ride of Magic Kingdom, which is Splash Mountain. This one's one of the best
Rabbit
boat
Mountain.
rides I've ever done. It is the best water boat ride I've ever done in my life. I think it's a little bit better than Jurassic Park, just for how long it was. The hill is amazing. There's multiple hills in this, which is the first thing. Like the first time you do it, you're like, when's the big hill? And you do decent sized hills. I think there's like maybe 3 or 4 before you even get to the last one.
Yeah.
And a million cool animatronics to look at. The music. It's definitely easily my favorite ride of Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, this is up there at one of the best rides of all of Disney and maybe all of the world, just because of that aspect that it cares about. There's a story behind it. There's a bunch of different hills. It's thrilling. There's a bunch to look at. There is that following the story along is great. And the ride, it doesn't just rush you out of there, get a big hill and rush you out of the ride. You're in that ride to enjoy it, and it's a lengthy ride, and it's great. It's one of the best rides in Disney World for sure.
It's definitely, any time that you wait for it, you're gonna, it's worth the wait. Anytime you wait, because the ride is so lengthy, and it's also an iconic. Like, you walk in, you see that big mountain when you go into that area, and you're like, I gotta do that, and it's an amazing ride. Definitely very impressive.
I agree with everything they said, if you don't get wet down to your underwear.
Back in 2010, she had a bad experience. Then the last thing of Frontierland, we'll just mention really quick, it's not a ride, is Tom Sawyer Island. It just opened back up. It's definitely a great thing to get over there. Some caves to walk through, really cool sports to look at, shooting guns.
Probably are.
Pretty cool experience. Some, the Barrel Bridge.
Probably are.
Pretty fun time. And then the second to last section of Magic Kingdom is Liberty Square. The first ride in that section is the Haunted Mansion.
That's a must. They have so many good effects on there. And there's something different to see every time. I always want to go on that.
I think that if if you're going to Magic Kingdom, you just have to have that on your list. Just like Grandma said, it's a must-do. It is definitely worth the wait. It's so much to look at during that ride. I feel like every time I ride, I'm seeing different things and all the details. And if you've seen the movie, there's a lot of things that you see in that too as well. So it's fun.
Yeah, this is a great ride. We're talking about Haunted Mansion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great ride. I love this ride for sure.
Pick up, yeah.
I'm starting to see things. My back hurts. No, yeah, Haunted Mansion's classic. There's so much to look at. It's so cool. You go through all the different rooms and so much detail in it. Yeah, it's definitely a great ride. Classic. Have to do it each time, and it's so much detail and it's amazing.
I would agree with all those comments. It's also like as you're in line, there's like a graveyard thing you walk through. Inside the building, you stand in this room. You hear like the sequence play out. Then you walk into the ride. It's just another classic. The amount of details. I mean, each time I've done it how many times now? And I feel like there's different things I'm noticing for the first time in different rooms.
Like I said, yeah.
And there's not much. And then there's also a graphic of Grandma playing her iPad down in the main ballroom scene.
It's true.
Moving
Moving on.
And then the Hall of the Presidents is another one that's a good show to go see.
It's not a ride.
Definitely a good one now.
Well, I wouldn't
Watch what
take
you
the
say.
little ones on that. They're going to be bored with the
Yes,
presidents.
yes. That's another one to do. It's raining and you're like hot.
Yeah.
You want to just cool
A
down.
good
I
sit
like
down.
to go see the presidents,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I remember seeing that every other time we went. I feel like.
Yeah. Moving on. The last section of Magic Kingdom is Tomorrowland, and the first ride that we'll be talking about is Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin. Start with it. This was definitely one of my favorites as a kid. I feel like just you get to shoot things, different things to aim at. I really liked that you could control your own car or spaceship and spin around. I'm sure I probably got people sick by just holding down. You can't really aim if you're just going in circles all the time. But it's
neither can the person that's riding with you.
that's true. That's probably the only negative to that. And then something about that ride as we got older is they added in a better shooting game ride. That's Toy Story Mania, and it just kind of made this one not as good. But we did it the last time. It was still fun, and it's a good one.
Yeah, this ride is fine. I hadn't done this for a few years. We did it this trip, and it is fine. I think it's really cool you can control which side you move to. But yeah, like you said, Toy Story Mania is just so much better. It's so good that it makes this look bad. With how you aim, the aiming is really difficult with this. With Toy Story Mania, it's perfect, which makes it really just hard to compare it. So it's fine, but I just can't help but think about Toy Story Mania and how much better it is.
I didn't do this ride. They did. I don't know where I was, but
Sleeping.
yeah, as I remember doing it, probably another trip. It's a good ride. It's always long. The line's always very long, but if you have a chance and it's short, I say do it.
I used to do it a lot. We used to get, back when you could get a lot of fast passes, I'd have a load of them, and I'd keep doing it over and over, all alone. And you want to sit, if you're right-handed, you want to sit on the right so you can aim, and if you're left-handed, I guess you want to do it the other way. I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's certain things you can hit to get really high scores. It's fun.
Moving on is the third of the three mountains in Space Mountain.
I don't do it anymore. Too many tight turns
that's-
for me. I get dizzy. I used to do it. It was fun.
This is definitely my favorite ride at Magic Kingdom all time. I mean, it's just it's dark while you ride the ride, but I honestly think that's what makes it so thrilling is because you don't know where you're going. The turns are definitely like not where what you expect, sorry. But just the whole walking and like the atmosphere and the whole building's all cool, and I think it's definitely a must do. If you don't do it, what are you on?
Space Mountain is definitely, if I had to rank the mountains, it's Thunder Mountain and then Space Mountain and Splash Mountain's best. I definitely like this ride. It's a classic. The line is fantastic for this. It looks like you're actually in space. And then when you get on, it's the three you're in a single thing behind three other people, which is cool because it's a small little car. It's like you're a rocket ship. It's definitely cool. You can't see where you're going. It is an older ride, and it's great though. It's classic.
That's for me. It's not really an insult, but I would say it's probably the third of the three mountains in my opinion. It used to be my second, but as I've gotten older, it's just, I feel like Thunder Mountain's a little more smoother than Space Mountain is for me now. And also another thing for me, being a taller person, every time I do it, I'm always like afraid I'm gonna hit my head on like a pole.
That's the
Or,
thrill
like,
of it.
like,
That's the
I'm
fun.
kind of like,
That's
I'm
the
trying to,
adrenaline
like,
rush you
I'm trying to, like,
get, so you
punch
might
over
die.
and like be as little as I can because I can see the outline of different objects and it looks like it's like right there when obviously you can't be getting hit by anything. But,
And that's what's fun about it.
it's a thrilling ride. It's really a fun one inside. Really cool setup. Like it looks like you're walking through a spaceship to get there. And we've done that one probably the most of any ride there probably. Or at least it's up there with probably the most ridden ride in our family.
We've done it every trip. Okay.
And then next up is Tomorrowland Speedway.
I mean, if you drive a car, what's the big deal? You know, if you're not driving age, it's fun.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely think that, I mean, we haven't done it in a while, but I still like driving on the tracks. But I definitely think as I was younger and I got to drive for the first time alone, it was definitely the most fun ride there. But as you get older, yeah, it's just, why drive? Like,
What's the point? Yeah, I agree. I think this was really fun when we were kids, able to drive. It's like, oh, you get a driver's license, woo, and you're driving. But yeah, now I drive an hour to school and back every day, so it's not really, the thrill is gone for sure. But kids will definitely enjoy it, being able to drive.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely going to do if you're like waiting for a group to get off like Space Mountain and you're like before you're about to have a meal, just do it really quick if it's not a long line. But yeah, it's definitely loses a little bit once you're able to
Loses
drive
its
every
luster.
day. But the second to last ride of Tomorrowland is the Tomorrowland Transit Authority / or AKA
People Mover.
the People Mover. This is honestly one of the most underrated rides at Magic Kingdom in my opinion. It's a great one to kind of sit down on and relax for a little bit and see things from the inside. You can see Buzz Lightyear. You can see, I think you've seen a gift shop. And then it's like you get to see like an overview of like the park while walking around Tomorrowland. But I really like this ride a lot. Even though Grandma Sharon had a bad moment here one trip. You said you had a Diet Coke in your purse and it spilled.
Oh, I can't even remember that.
Oh, no!
Well, I got to ride it once when Space Mountain was being repaired.
Oh, that's right.
So
You didn't see
all
it
the
there.
lights were on inside.
that's
Yeah.
wrong.
And I got to see
Right.
all the track. That was fun.
I think it's fun. Yeah, definitely a relaxing ride if you've been walking around all day and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Having meltdowns, a good break.
I think People Mover is definitely one that you need to do. It's definitely one. See, I would say when you walk into a park, you would want to try to get to the rides you want to do first. But if you wanted a recap of different rides around the area, it's great because it goes through different rides you can do. It says, hey, ride this, ride that. And it's good for that. It shows you around a little bit. And it's definitely a relaxing, fun ride.
Then to wrap up the Tomorrowland,
And everything.
the entire park with the most intense ride of the entire park is the Carousel of Progress.
Yep.
It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
That's a great way to put it.
That's a great finisher. See you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's definitely a great little sit down ride to like kind of see the animatronics like different
done it?
times. Oh, I've done this a few times.
Oh, yeah.
We were gonna do it this trip, remember?
I know.
But we didn't because it was like it didn't work.
Yeah, the Carousel of Progress is definitely a fun little relaxing
Just like
ride,
any other
especially if it's
carousel.
hot outside.
Yeah.
It's good to just be able to go in there and it's AC and it's nice for that. It's definitely a fun little ride. I think it's underrated because it is a fun one.
That wraps up our review of Magic Kingdom, and let's just go down the line and say what our favorite rides are. Our favorite ride of Magic Kingdom is,
One ride.
and my favorite ride of Magic Kingdom is Splash Mountain.
Yeah,
Kenny?
I'd honestly have to say maybe Splash Mountain because it is amazing, but it's so surprising.
All right, good.
I think it is definitely amazing. It's the best mountain out of the three, and I just think really just how much of a thought went into the ride is great. It's my favorite.
Space Mountain.
Haunted Mansion.
This is going to be Barry, Karen, and Grandpa giving their favorite rides.
I guess I'll go with the Haunted Mansion.
And a little reason?
No, there's plenty to choose from, but that's the one I'm going to pick.
I like the Snow White
Seven
mine ride.
Dwarves.
Yes, not the trolls, the dwarves.
It's really difficult. I have so many favorites. Country Bears, Tiki Room, Carousel of Progress, People Mover, but I would have to say Splash Mountain.
Well, thanks for watching our second park review, which was Magic Kingdom. So thanks for watching, and thanks again for our special guests here, Megan and Grandma Sharon.
Have a magical day.
It's a great way to end it off. And any other comments from anyone?
It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
I need to blow my nose, so let's
So,
wrap it up.
well, wait, so thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.